When you grow up, most jobs are gonna include teamwork because a job isn't usually just by yourself. You do everything, and being able to do it with other people and share the jobs and being able to know what they're doing and be able to put everything together is important.
It was probably about 10 years ago where a lot of the national literature came out about the importance of combining the different subject areas and not teaching them in isolation. So at that point forward, we really began to look at opportunities to bring it together into one set and get, again, engaged students. Science, technology, engineering, and math, and we believe those four components are important, but what we believe is even more important is combining them into one set of learning, not learning those things in isolation. Together, those four are very important components.
Okay, a couple more. Nick?
Go ahead. Kindergartners all the way through fifth graders are participating in lots of different types of events. So we have kids coding, we have them creating bridges, we have them solving problems using mathematics. As a group, having to communicate together and having to be able to come up with a product in the end, and then that is used in competition with the other groups that are working together. And so then all together they're being able to look at how did someone else solve this problem and approach this.
We're realizing that the skill base, yes, kids have to have skills, but that won't help them in their future unless they learn to cooperate, think creatively, and problem solve together.
And so I like doing STEM projects because it kind of gets your mind thinking about things, and then when you go home you can find something, you're like, oh, I can do the same as I did with this but make it different and maybe more interesting.
Well, STEM is a very important part of our curriculum at Academy District 20. We're in a unique location next to the Air Force Academy. We have a Challenger Learning Center here in our district, so there's great opportunities for our students in the area of STEM, and we really want to take advantage of that.
Students met an astronaut yesterday at Challenger Learning Center. What an experience to hear that.
Hi guys, welcome to your mission to the moon. Is that where you're going?
Yeah.
So after today, you guys can all say you've been in space, right? Yeah, it's fun because you always get surprised, and kids will ask questions that it's just really impressive. You know, they don't have necessarily the barriers that adults have to what they think they understand. Kids kind of come with more of a blank sheet. So, you know, for example, one of the kids was asking, hey, you see all these parts coming off as you go into orbit, well then how do you come back if you don't have a rocket to bring you back? I mean, that's an insightful question. That girl had observed, you know, that we were leaving behind pieces, so we could talk a lot about why we do that as we're launching. We're leaving parts behind. The whole physics side of coming back, she'd already processed, gosh, we need something to slow us down. Now we can talk about the atmosphere and how we harness the atmosphere to actually provide drag and slow us. Here's a kid in the 4th grade who's already hit on some of the big principles of space flight just with one question.
In the past, Challenger has mostly focused on middle school, but now we're developing, and we have developed, a complete program of K through 5 programs to engage the kids so that when they get to middle school, they're already on fire for science.
During the mission today, there will be two groups. One group will be astronauts. The other group will be mission control specialists. The astronauts will get on board the Orion space capsule, and then they will launch into low Earth orbit, and then they will attempt to send the spacecraft to the moon. Now, while the astronauts are on board the spacecraft, they are going to have different jobs that they're working on. Initially, students will start off as astronauts going to the moon, but shortly after we leave low Earth orbit, we are no longer protected by the magnetosphere, so we run into an unknown meteor shower. That meteor shower is going to cause the astronauts to abort the mission and come back to Earth. At that time, students are going to have to come up with a solution in order to continue to have a successful mission.
What we really hope that the kids take away from this experience is a love for learning.
And that's why programs like Challenger Learning Center are so important, because the students are enthusiastic, they enjoy learning about it, and they can combine those four different aspects of STEM.
Being able to work on STEM, being able to integrate it into everyday learning.
To allow kids to have those kinds of experiences, what we're learning is, as we incorporate and embed that in our learning for students, their engagement is greater, their access to opportunities to think differently is greater, and now it's spreading across the district.
One of the big takeaways here is that thinking, when you get engaged with the topic and really understand the big picture, thinking is fun.